What is Appalachia? A presentation by Ryan Kelly Robbins. So exactly what is Appalachia? I thought this was a very big question to try and answer. So over the next few minutes, I would like to take the time to discuss what exactly Appalachia represents to me as a culture that is found in a very specific region in the United States. Appalachia is something that many still argue over today, and some believe this is only a cultural phenomenon that has outlived its use in a modern society. Some believe that Appalachia is only a specific region that spans across the United States, where others believe that it is only a cultural phenomenon in a specific region, and others even more so believe that it is only a literary idea that writers have created of this region. When I think exactly of how I would define Appalachia, it really does bring a smile to my face. I feel instantly connected to the memories of warm sunshine and the sound of cicadas during the summer, as well as the memories of the smell of a wood-burning stove during the cold winter months, and how that smell seemed to blanket everything. I was reminded of this by a poem, and the name of that poem is called Winter Days. He loved warm winter days when woodlands opened their summer secrets to a passerby. Tree shadows lay crisscrossed, low creeks deepened, borrowing their cold blue from the sky. Icicles glistened on the rock-backed ridges. A field of broom sage hissed in the wind. Frost and fence post shadows melted by edges of pasture fields where the cold black cattle stood. Sunlight ricocheted from the tin-topped barns, streaking the chalk walls of the limestone quarry. Between white sycamores the river turned, sure of where it was going, in no hurry. To me, this poem spoke of something that is slow and steady moving, a constant for many people and their families. This also relates to me for Appalachia, as it is a steady, slow moving, and constant for my own family. It describes a peacefulness about the nature and the slow moving life found in this region. So officially, I think where I would like to start is by what Appalachia is absolutely not. I've watched my absolute fill of associating mountain people with hicks or rednecks. It is often thought of an impoverished, overall-wearing, barefoot people that are less than competent. Even recently, I watched a live show while out of the country, and this show and the actors made multiple references to the mountainous region in this manner. So let's face it, we have even all heard jokes about people from West Virginia. I think it's often misguided that Appalachia is only comprised of areas of poor, uneducated workers. One article by Williamson in 2014 even described Appalachia as the white ghetto. He goes on to discuss the region as a slowly dissipating nebula of poverty and misery. While he goes on to discuss some specific regions, more so in Kentucky, he even further explains that the Scotch-Irish working class in the region is a version of the African slave labor that was found throughout the United States. While I agree that immigrants from the Scotch-Irish movement were basically enslaved, especially to the mining coal companies and timber companies of the era, Williamson further goes on to explore the absolute impoverished conditions of the areas in Kentucky that he describes, or how people with any sorts of dreams should leave as soon as possible to build a life elsewhere. Unfortunately, I think that this is the mainstream view of the Appalachians that most Americans have today. I believe that it's thought of that this region has had its time. The resources are used up and has served no more value for the United States. But honestly, exactly how fair is that? It is a land that, in my opinion, was raped for its natural resources, enslaved inhabitants who would basically never be able to know a better life than that of the coal or timber companies. So because she is used up, she's just to be thrown away. As someone from this area, it's highly irresponsible in my own personal beliefs to promote such a message like this about our region. It's one that's unfair and biased based on jokes or poor literature about our land and its people that are very misunderstood. I think you will absolutely be hard-pressed to find areas of the United States that are free from poverty or have similar lower life expectancies, but yet they are not given up on. These areas are often funded by government funding programs to rebuild, while the Appalachia area receives those to help from the same services that send out help to third world countries in our own United States. America grew off the labor that these families worked for and are now caught in a place that time has just forgotten. On any day, if you were to search on the internet to try and understand exactly what Appalachia is, you will easily be berated by sites that talk about hillbillies and backwoods peoples or even inbreeding. It is one of the most derogatory campaigns that still rages strongly in the United States, and I personally find that the primary message about Appalachia and the inhabitants that are from the region or still live in this region are absolutely disgusting. To just assume something and base such a large propaganda against a region absolutely blows my mind, especially in 2015. Despite what is there or not there anymore, the poverty, the lack of anything that resembles the modern convenient world, I hope that what you'll hear next will help you understand the strong connection that people have to this region. I entitled this slide as Home. So for me, Appalachia is more than just a region, a culture, or a place simply just on a map somewhere. It is the home place for my own family. Our family roots are tied into the Appalachian region. It is a place that I will always cherish as my own, and is a place as the Blue Mountains, which my daughter so lovingly called as a child growing up. It is made up of homes that have surrounded families that immigrated to the area for a new and better life. It surrounds generations of families every day. It is homes that were built from the land that surrounds them and have absolutely stood the test of time. It is the gathering of a family under one roof to recall the good and the bad times that they have conquered. Appalachia still cradles my great-great-grandfather's home place cabin to this day, where it still stands holding my mother and my father. My great-grandfather's land was originally hand-staked and goes back to our family's ownership to the late 1700s. It only now lives in a glorious splendor of just 200 mountainous acres. This land tells a story of my family who immigrated to the area for a new start at life. The land was hand-staked out and is home to the family cemetery that still stands in the opening, surrounded by great giant trees that I swear stand guard against time itself. In that cemetery lie those family members struck down by the United States Civil War. These stone markers stand tall like these soldiers did so many years ago, like they're almost frozen in time. In this home place, you will find a family who has harvested apples, pumpkins, and tobacco and well-behaved children for many generations. This family has always been based out of the Appalachians and is partly evident by the strong religious foundation that we still have today. We have been bred to be Southern Baptist in every single way and in everything that we do. We are a family that was raised to pray over every meal, family member, or friend who needed it. The roots to this land are also something very special. As a child, I never understood why family members would leave and come back when all I could think about was leaving myself. But now I understand that connection is much deeper than I ever imagined as a child. When I talk to my grandfather, he absolutely knows everyone in the area and who is connected to our land. I remember hearing stories on the front porch and hearing tall tales of how a tree is misshaped or has played some part in some love story many, many years ago. So to me, Appalachia is more than a place or a memory. It's a hope that I will be able to move my own family to a new home place for our own. One that my family will be able to recall memories and hear tall tales on the front porch of a home that stands for even more generations. I really want it to be a place where hope looms around every corner for the children of my children and inspires them to explore this magical world with a sense of determination found in the Appalachian culture. I hope that this place where hard work still pays off for those who woke up to it every day and will inspire a strong work ethic. I need it to be a hope that my family will understand a bond with a place that will always be a real home to them, a place where love and hope bloom every day. For me, Appalachia was a new start. It was a family that took me in after the biological one let me down and absolutely abandoned me. It is the grandparents that lived on this land that took me in. It nurtured me, it educated me, and yes, while I understand that any family could have done the same things, I find it even more extra special that it was done in such a region. I was shown in a way in which God came first and then family. Despite what or who your family is or does, they were yours and you took care of them, even if it literally puts you in the absolute poorhouse. This taught me a strong work ethic and a love for my own family. Geographically, Appalachia makes up a very large portion of the United States. Currently, Appalachia is a 205,000 square mile region and extends north to south up to the eastern United States area. The region starts in southern New York, covering some parts of Pennsylvania and Ohio, and then the region engulfs the entirety of the state of West Virginia. Culture. So culture is defined as a way of life by a group of people. So in this region, you'll find that culture and religion often go hand in hand. So over the next couple minutes, I'm going to talk about some religion that you might find in the Appalachia. Starting first with music, I'd like to point out that Appalachian culture has very strong ties to music. So music in this region is often a way of storytelling that was passed down through many generations. Appalachian music also illustrates the way in which the immigrants that came to this area brought part of their culture with them. So instead of writing it down and toting their stories of their families and of actions that have happened, they told stories in their music. They made ballads and was able to relive their history that way. Religion. So part of the uniform cultural aspects that tie Appalachia together is religion. Religion plays a large part in the Appalachian life. On any given day, you can drive through the Smoky Mountain Parkway or the Blue Ridge Parkway, and even up further and further south, you will find primitive Baptist churches, non-denominational Christian churches, United Methodist, and the Pentecostals and Pentecostal holiness. So as a child, what always stood out in my own life was the holiness Pentecostals. We had friends that attended these types of services, and as children we were forbidden to go. This is in part from the Pentecostal holiness movement that moved through this area and is still present in some areas of the region. The holiness movement is synonymously known with snake handling, and it can be found recorded in Appalachian history as early as 1910. I think what's important to remember is that this is still something that is present in the Appalachian culture, Appalachian region. Even so much as in the last 5 years, a pastor actually passed away from a rattlesnake bite. So to conclude, today I just wanted to point out that Appalachians, I know, lack the appeal that it once held for the United States. It's an area that requires work to make it whole again. Its resources have long been past exploitation, and to many the region has little to offer in return. It is described by many as a land that is lost in time, and compared to the highly convenient modern world that surrounds the area, I think that many view this area as a backwoods historical site that is truly only there for a Sunday drive. In a way, this is what was the saddest part to even do this project. I think now about considering how much this region means to me personally, but I understand that a lot of people will never understand this unless they've seen it through the eyes of their families and can feel that bond to the land. In closing, I hope that the presentation provided you some specific information about the region, the culture, and the religion, and maybe shed some light onto exactly how large this area actually is and how large it reaches out to the families that have lived there for so long. I also hope that for a brief time you were able to feel something for this area, to understand that it's more than a shaded region or a Sunday drive-through. It's a place that helped give birth to the industrial revolution of what comes to be known as the greatest country on earth. My thoughts are on this area daily, and my goals are to get back to it as soon as possible so that my daughter and her children's children will understand and appreciate a different way of life found in the Appalachians.